out of your Vulcan minds.
Are you out of your Vulcan mind?
Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Yes, Iraq must be out of their Vulcan mind. Seriously, I don't know what the hell they're thinking, but they definitely got the attention now of the U.S. And trust me, the Biden administration, or I should say the Obama's third term, they are itching to get us into a war. That's what these warmongers love. I remember it used to be the neocons. They were part of the military-industrial complex. For some strange reason, the Democrats decided to join them. And they keep pushing us towards war. But the last thing we want is for Iraq to get involved. When the coordinated framework came out and made their comments threatening the United States, saying they were going to target them, I told you these people cannot get out of their own way to save their lives. So I was hoping it was just words and it would get no worse. But no. Of course, many of us who are invested in the Iraqi Dinar, how could we hope for anything better? Let's get into this. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. And if you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. You can follow me over on other platforms. I do have my own group over on Facebook called Pimpy's Investment Chat. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. So head on over here and join us. It's free to do so. In here, I do post updates. If I should get on suspension from YouTube or get removed from YouTube and you want to know what happened to me, I'll let you know right here in this group. I can be found on Twitter, MeWe, YouTube, and the cool thing about YouTube, if you come over here and you join and you find my channel, I got videos going back, I believe, a couple years. So if you want to see some older videos that I have on Nasera, Jacera, gold, silver, cryptos, come on over here and join. Look me up and check out my videos. You can also find me on Odyssey. Catch me on Rumble. When I say that the links for all these are down below in the description, some of you don't know what I'm talking about. It's real simple. Just go down to the bottom right here of any of my videos. See this? This is the description. Hit show more. And there are all the links to all the platforms I just spoke about. So here we go. This is not what you want. Our own government to be so concerned about the actions of Iraq that they would be forced to do this. Washington directed the departure of the families of its diplomats and non-essential staff from Iraq and not to use Baghdad airport. That's not good. We need for Iraq to stay out of conflict of any kind. Sit there, behave yourself, don't get involved. But unfortunately, their politicians are Iranian-backed politicians. Therefore, they're going to be involved with crap that they shouldn't. So the U.S. State Department on Sunday directed the departures of family of its diplomats and non-essential staff from Iraq, warning of kidnappings. In a statement, the U.S. State Department called on its citizens not to travel to Iraq because of terrorism, kidnapping, armed conflict, civil unrest, and the limited ability of the Iraq mission to provide support for U.S. citizens. There you go. So much for Iraq being a stable country. So much for their politicians to be stable. This is going to affect the economy, and then that's going to be unstable. If it ain't one thing, it's another. U.S. forces at the Al-Assad bases have been targeted by drones, armed factions said. The department directed the departure of qualified family members and non-essential U.S. government personnel from the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad and the U.S. Consulate General in Erbil due to increased security threats against U.S. government employees and interests. American citizens in Iraq face significant risk to their safety and security, including the potential for violence and kidnapping. Terrorist and insurgent groups regularly attack Iraq security forces and civilians. Anti-American militias also threaten U.S. citizens and international companies across Iraq. So much for stability. See, once Biden left all these terrorists a beautiful gift of, what was it, $8 billion worth of military equipment and ammo, all he did was arm all of the terrorist groups over there. We're finding out that the weapons that they're using in Gaza came from Afghanistan. Some of the weapons that are being used over there in Africa came from Afghanistan. And if you still think that was done by accident, you're sadly mistaken. Now, if you add in the 6 or 8 billion that Biden wanted to send to Iran, like Obama did, now the word is that they stopped the money from being transferred over there. Now, why would Biden arm all these terrorists over there in the Middle East and then turn around and send them another 6 or 8 billion dollars so they can have a funded war? I wonder what's behind this. I told you they are trying to push us into World War III. One way or another. You got tensions over there in China, tensions over there in Russia, Ukraine, Gaza, Israel, Iran. That's how crazy things are getting. The attacks are taking place using improvised explosive devices, indirect fire, and unmanned aerial vehicles in many areas of the country, including Baghdad and other major cities. In emergency situation, consular service for U.S. citizens in Iraq are limited by restrictions on the movement of U.S. government employees. The statement added, protests and strikes occurred frequently across the country. These events can develop rapidly without prior notice, often lead to disruptions in traffic, transport, and other services, and sometimes turn into acts of violence. The State Department continued, do not travel near the northern border of Iraq because of the ongoing threat of attacks by terrorist groups, armed conflict, and aerial bombardment, and civil unrest. U.S. citizens in particular should avoid areas close to armed groups in northern Iraq, which have been targeted by airstrikes by the armies of neighboring countries. U.S. citizens should not travel through Iraq to participate in the armed conflict in Syria. Remember, the warning about Syria starting a nuclear war. Very interesting that they are part of this, where they face several personal risks, kidnapping, injuries, or death, and legal risk, arrest, fines, and expulsions. The Kurdistan regional government of Iraq has announced that it will impose prison sentences of up to 10 years on individuals who cross the Iraqi-Syrian border illegally. In addition, fighting on behalf of others supporting specific terrorist organizations is a crime under U.S. law that can result in prison sentences and large fines in the United States. Due to security concerns, the U.S. government employees in Baghdad have been instructed not to use the Baghdad airport. So this isn't good. This is exactly what we're talking about. I knew once Hamas went after Israel that this was a bad situation, and Iraq would somehow, some way end up right in the middle of it, and that's not what we want. Coordination framework on faction escalation against U.S. presence. This is the position of the Sudanese government. So the coordinated framework, which brings together Shiite political forces, commented on Sunday on the escalation of armed factions from the attacks against U.S. forces present in military bases in different cities of Iraq. The choice of the Iraqi resistance factions in escalation against the U.S. armed forces in Iraq came after the visit of the U.S. President Biden to Israel and announced his support for military operations to suppress the Palestinian people in Gaza. And this escalation came as a response to Washington to the genocide operation of the Zionist entity. Also added, in the first time, the Iraqi resistance factions warned the American side of its intervention in the war between Palestine resistance and the Zionist entity. And despite those warnings, Washington continues to intervene and support Israel to exterminate the Palestinian people, and even a crime committed at the Budapest hospital was an American missile. See, that's not what we found out. First of all, no hospital got hit. It was a parking lot. And second of all, it came from Hamas, their own people. It's kind of like what's happening over there in Ukraine. For some strange reason, they keep bombing their own people, and then the news jumps on there and accuses the other side. He pointed out that the Iraqi resistant factions exist before the formation of the Sudanese government. It has existed since 2003, and this resistance will remain as long as there is the survival of the American occupation forces, and these factions do not need coordination with the Iraqi government on its positions related to the presence of the American occupation and its targeting. But these factions make their decisions according to what they deem appropriate of the interest of their project in confronting the occupation and relieving pressure of the Palestinian people. The Sudanese government enjoys great acceptance locally and abroad, and his government from the events in Gaza were satisfactory to the Iraqi resistant factions, and the Sudanese have good relations with the resistant factions and may be able to talk in order to mitigate military strikes against U.S. forces. It goes on to say that the Sudanese government has full support by all the blocs and parties of the framework and supported by the resistant factions, but the decisions of the resistant factions remains in isolation from the government. Armed Iraqi factions have launched attacks over the past few days with drones and rocket-propelled grenades targeting U.S. military bases near Baghdad airport and in Anbar in western Iraq, as well as military bases near Erbil within the Kurdistan region. So there are peace summits taking place. I'm not sure that the parties that are in negotiation for peace actually want peace. Like I said, the powers that be want to escalate things all around the world to make things really bad and then to launch us into a nuclear war. Besides what Biden did, you have to add in the fact that Democrat Senator Bob Menendez has been secretly selling our ammunition to Egypt behind our back. I still can't figure out how a senator has the ability to sell ammo to another country without being detected at all. What kind of security crap do we got going on in this country that they can't pick that up? Now, I do find it interesting that in the news articles, they're saying, how can we support Gaza? How can we support Gaza? Well, what the citizens in Gaza should do is stop tolerating these terrorists. These people need to point out where the Hamas is hanging out. Hamas attacked Israel, not Palestine. But at the same token, if Hamas keeps attacking Israel, you can expect Israel to retaliate. And that means casualties, innocent people are going to be killed. Nobody wants that at all. But if you can't stand up for yourselves over in your country, these are the repercussions, unfortunately. So there are peace summits taking place right now. Let's hope that calmer heads prevail. You definitely don't want Iraq to get involved in any of this, any more than they already are. Barani reassures the people of Kurdistan and appreciates the position of the Sudanese. So the president of the Kurdistan region on Sunday reassured the people of Kurdistan about the salary crisis, and at the same time praised the position of the federal prime minister al-Sudani in this regard. This came in a speech delivered at the graduation ceremony at a university of students in the independent Sudan administration within the region. Addressing the people of the Kurdistan region, Barzani said, "Be sure that the crisis will pass and your efforts and the efforts of the people of Kurdistan will reach a better future." I hope so, and I believe that too. From here, we extend our thanks and appreciation to the citizens in the Kurdistan region who have always been understanding of the situation and took into account the difficult economic situation and were steadfast, stressing to the people of Kurdistan that the efforts to solve problems are continuing, and in this regard, the Kurdistan government is continuing seriously with the federal government. So this is the type of thing you don't want to see happen in the media. Rocket attack targeting Al-Assad air base in Iraq where the U.S. soldiers are stationed. A security force reported that a missile target was at the air base where the U.S. forces are located in West Anbar province. Said the base was targeted with 3 missiles. It was fired from a village in the Baghdadi district, and the first fell inside the base, while the second air defense intercepted, and the third missile fell in the vicinity of the base. So with all that hoopla going on in the after hours market, the parallel market, the rumor is that they dropped down to 6,000 dinars for every dollar. That is really bad for the government. Now really think about this. If that was true, if it were true, would you rather take your 100 US dollars to the bank and get 1,320 dinars for every dollar? Or would you rather take your 100 US dollars to the black market and get 6,000 dinars for every dollar? Al-Alaq, stabilizing the exchange rate is a big process that requires changes in the commercial system and external transfer in Iraq. The governor of the central bank, Al-Alaq, on Saturday considered the process of stabilizing the dinar exchange rate against the dollar as a big operation that requires changes in the Iraqi commercial system and financial transfers out of the country. This came in a speech during the first annual banking conference hosted by the city of Erbil under the slogan, "The Banking Sector Opportunities for Advancement and the Future of International Companies," in its first edition. In Al-Alaq's first speech, it said the rules stipulated in the Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Law number 39 of 2018 must be established, and the application of international practices and standards to preserve the integrity of the financial system from local and international risks and procedures, and to ensure the transparency and safety of financial operations. Remember I was talking about the snitch box, that snitch software that they have? That's going to help in this area big time. We affirm that these rules preserve the integrity of the financial system, but also protect Iraq from serious risk. And this is related to the relationship between the application of these rules and standards and the process of external transfer and the sale of U.S. dollars in various forms. Al-Alaq added, there is a close relationship between the consolidation of these standards and the flow of conversion operations and maintaining the stability of the exchange rate. As far as the commitment, we can determine monetary stability and the stability of the exchange rate, which is a major process that requires a lot of changes and reorganization of the commercial system in Iraq, the external transfer system, and the related to do so. Noting that the central bank goes this process in a daily detail until it leads us to the right and correct way and opens every day a new channel to facilitate and accelerate the process. Anyways, Iraq continues to move forward to do what they can for the Iraqi people, improving more on the banking sector, trying to find ways to make their economy stronger. But these conflicts are causing huge delays and huge issues in Iraq, and we don't need that at this time. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing from you. That's it for now. I'm out.